Okay, boys and girls, we're going to start to paint our color wheel now. I'm going to show you how we use a different type of paint today. This is called tempera paint. This is not like the watercolor paint that we're used to using. This paint is very goopy and very messy, and it already has water in it, so we don't need to add any water to this paint. We can just use this paint to start painting right away. So I'm going to show you how to paint your color wheel. We're going to start by painting the primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. And I've already drawn the color wheel for you, and I've written the letters R, Y, and B for red, yellow, and blue. So before you start painting, put your name on the bottom of your paper with a marker, and then you can start. I'm going to use my brush to start to paint the red space first. So I'm going to take my brush and just dip a little bit in the red. Now, I don't want to dunk my paintbrush. I just get a little bit on the tip there. And if I get too much and it's really drippy, I need to wipe on the lid here and just have a little bit on the tip of my brush. When I'm painting with this type of paint, I want to imagine that my paintbrush is dancing on the tippy toes of the brush. So I'm going to first start by outlining the red space with the tippy toes of the brush. Outlining means I'm going to go around the outside first. And then after I've gone around the outside, I'm going to paint the inside just red, using just the tippy top of the brush. Now I can go a little bit faster for this one. I can go back and forth nice and smooth and fill in the rest of the space. Okay, once I've painted my first primary color red, I'm going to wash all this red away. So I just need to dip in my water cup once. I don't need to slosh, just dip once. And I take this paintbrush and I scrub it on my wet rag here. I'm getting all the red off, and I want to make sure that the paintbrush is clean. So I can just test it out by going like this on my hand. If I still see some red, dip again, scrub again. So I want to make sure it's super clean all the way throughout the brush before I start to paint. Yep, it's good. So now I'm going to dip in my yellow and paint my yellow space. Outline first, and then paint in the yellow space. Back and forth, nice and smooth. Oop, it looks like I got a little bit of red still on the brush, so that's why it's kind of making a weird color there. I can just take some more yellow and paint over that. Okay, pretty good there. Now wash all the yellow away, dip once, scrub on the rag. Make sure it's clean. One more time. Good. Okay, now paint my blue space. Remember to dip on the side here if I get too much paint on my brush, just a little bit on the tip here. Outline my blue space. Now those are the three primary colors. As soon as I have painted all three spaces here, I'm going to start to paint the secondary colors. So we remember that the secondary colors are the colors that mix together to make a new color. So I'm going to be mixing my primary colors together to make new colors. So once I have a clean paintbrush, no more blue on there, I'm going to start with the red and the yellow space. Right next to red and yellow, I'm going to mix together to see what they make. So when I mix red and yellow, I'm mixing in the space in between red and yellow. So I'm going to use 1, 2 dots of yellow, wash my brush off, and then take 1 dot of red. The reason why I'm only using 1 red and 2 yellow is because yellow is very light. So if I use too much red, it's just going to kind of take over the yellow and it's going to make it too reddish. So I'm going to use 2 yellow and 1 red. And now I'm going to mix these together to see what they make. So when I mix, I'm just going together like this in a circle. And you might notice that as I mix the red and the yellow together, I'm making an orange color. That's our first secondary color. So once it's mixed all the way, I use that orange to paint the secondary color space. Our first secondary color is orange. Now wash the orange away, and I'm going to try the next two, blue and yellow. Let's see what those two colors make. I'm going to use 2 dots of yellow because yellow is much lighter than blue. Wash the yellow away. Then take 1 dot of blue. Okay, let's see what they make. Ready? Mix in a circle. Ooh, they're making a nice green grass color. So that's our secondary color, green. Blue and yellow make green. Use that green to paint this space. Okay, finally, let's see what red and blue make. Let's wash this green away. Now this time I'm going to take 2 red, because red is lighter than blue, and 1 blue. See what they make. Ready? Ooh, can you tell what they're making? They're making Purple, look at that nice purple color. Let's use our purple to paint our last space. Our last secondary color is purple. Blue and red make purple. I've done it. All right. Now you might notice on the side of your paper, there's one last thing you have to paint. This is a little cup that I've drawn that you're gonna try and mix up brown. So this is like a chocolate milk cup. So brown is kind of a tricky color. Brown is actually all three primaries mixed together. So watch how we do this. I'm gonna take a big glob of yellow, wash my brush off, big glob of red, wash my brush off, and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of blue. I don't need too much blue. Okay, let's see if it makes the brown. Brown is kind of tricky to make. I'm gonna mix it up, mix it up until all the colors are mixed together. And it looks like I've got a good brown here, so I'm gonna use that brown to paint my chocolate milk cup. All right, looks great. Okay, I am finished with my color wheel. I'm gonna go put this on the drying rack. Now, if I have time, boys and girls, I'm gonna grab my next activity, which is my pumpkin worksheet. Next week, we're gonna be making a big work of art that has many pumpkins in it. So if you're ready for this, you can start this today. You can put your name on the bottom to start. And we're just gonna be using the colors that we know to make orange to paint 4 pumpkins here. So looking back at our color wheel, we know that red and yellow mix to make orange. So on each pumpkin here, I'm gonna put 2 dots of yellow. And then I'm gonna put 1 dot of red after my brush is clean. And then I'm gonna mix these together to see if I can make a nice pumpkin-y orange. There we go. And then I'm gonna paint each pumpkin orange all the way. Now, if I finished with this, I have a little bit of brown that you can use for the stems. So raise your hand if you need some brown for the stems, and I'll put some in your little paint palette here. Okay, when this is finished, I will also put this on the drying rack. All right, let's get started with our color wheels first.